Let's go to you, Shona, first of all. Briefly, if you can, explain why your revenge you so deeply regret.
Well, at the time that I wrote the article, my parents had hurt me, and I was angry. And I guess I should have just told them that in the privacy of the four walls of a living room. But because of my job, you know, I'm a Daily Mail journalist. I write about my life. It's what I do. And I guess I'm slightly anaesthetised to the effects that words can have in that way. So I wrote this piece at the time because I felt that there was no hope. I felt they weren't listening to me. I wanted them to understand how I felt. But it was terminal, fairly terminal. My mother was drinking very heavily at the time. And in fact, she ended up dying of alcoholism whilst we were estranged from the article I wrote. So she never really forgave me for that.
And you're still estranged from your dad, aren't you?
And my father just hasn't spoken to me since, and I have no idea where he is, and he doesn't want anything to do with me. So yes, I do deeply regret doing it.
So look, Susie, that is where you can end up with revenge or worse, doesn't it? I sometimes have vengeful thoughts if I feel that people have hurt me or people I love. And then you have a good night's sleep, maybe a glass of wine, and you wake up the next day and think, no, I'm not going to embark on any kind of revenge, because then I'm giving them power over me. I'm making, you know, what they did to me in the past something of my future. But you think taking a bit of time and planning revenge is a good
Plotting
thing.
it carefully is the trick.
Plotting it
there's the
carefully is
wrong and the
good.
right kind of revenge. Shona hit out at the time that she was hurt and at people that she wanted to still be in her life, at her parents. I wrote a book that wasn't really about my husband's adultery. It started there, but it was about divorce, and it was about trying to point out where the funny bits of it were, how you can get through it, how you cope and how you survive, and get to a point at the end that you are happy with your new situation.
So is revenge a tool for you of getting anger out and frustration
you need to have that catharsis. This is what Dr. Foster is trying to deal with at the moment, and that George Osborne doesn't have, which is it's all sitting inside him, boiling away, and you've got that anger, and it hurts you when it's there. So you have to get it out. I wrote a book, Shona wrote her article. You have to have the catharsis and expel it, but then you have to try and use it as something good. You know, life will take a dump on you sometimes, and I regarded what happened to me as the gift of some high-quality compost in which you plant the seeds of something new. So then you have the best kind of revenge at the end, which is a life lived well. I now have a nice freelance life that I enjoy as a result of writing that book.
Creative illustration you've given us there. I wonder, Shona,
breakfast.
has your experience changed the way you look at situations like this where people feel like you've been wronged? Have you changed your approach in terms of trying to get back at them? Are you more considered with your response now?
I think that saying, you know, revenge is a dish best served cold, is so true. I think if I'd waited, at the time it felt hopeless. At the time it felt that I had no other way of dealing with it, and I wanted them to understand what they had done, and this was my way of doing it, and I wanted to, I guess at the time I wanted to hurt them, I suppose, because they'd hurt me, both of them in their different ways. My mother through her drinking, which really wasn't her fault, but I didn't realise at the time how serious it was. All I could see was this person, this raging kind of person spiralling into alcoholism and the effect that was having on my life. And my father married a much younger woman, and I felt was shutting me out of his life. But what it did was it nailed the coffin shut. It didn't leave any doorway.
See, that's interesting, because you wanted something more, didn't you? And that's what I think is very interesting about George Osborne. I mean, he hasn't confirmed these comments, but he also hasn't denied these comments. And he's got a big new job now following his sacking from Theresa May. You know, he's there in charge of a big, well-known paper. You'd think he'd move on, but it seems, apparently, he's using that to keep going back to her. Is it almost like he wants something from her in a way? He wants to be forgiven and invited back.
This moving idea, you know, in Dr. Foster, the character's saying it's been 2 years, you must get over it.
Yeah.
You say, George Osborne, you've got a new job, you should get over it and everything else. But it depends on the person, it depends on the situation. I didn't start writing my book till 3 years after the events had happened, because I had other things. You know, the divorce takes a year and a half. I had a seizure after that because of the stress. By the time you've exhaled and sit down with a pen in your hand, 3 years have passed.
If I'd left 3 years, I wouldn't have written it.
Exactly. Perspective is the way you get the best kind of revenge.
And you would be happy with the situation had you not written it?
Well, I think my father would still be speaking to me. I would know where he is. He would have met his youngest granddaughter. He's never met her. I have no idea where he's living. He doesn't want me in his life.
What's your advice to George Osborne then, right now?
Apologise.
Stop talking to journalists.
I would say apologise.
Things repeatedly.
Say sorry.
everyone says this kind of stuff in the
Hard
heat
to
of the
stop
moment.
talking to journalists when you're editor of a paper.
Well, no, but he's saying
fair.
he's making these comments to journalists that will then get reported. He knows this is going to get back. He's trying to hurt, and that's, you know, useful perhaps, but he needs to direct it better.
Sadly, we're out of time. We've got lots of comments. We can't go through those, but we really do appreciate you coming and sharing. You're both very different sides of the experience as well. You wonder whether George Osborne will be able to sort of change his approach maybe, but it seems like he's only causing damage to...
He's only just starting.
Yeah, I only think he's only just starting as well.
Goodness
That's Susie
me.
Boniface
Okay.
and Shona Sibary. Thanks for joining us this morning.